Alrighty, here we go. I'm John Renton with my review of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Resurgence 2021 event at the Torch outside the LA Memorial Coliseum, an outdoor venue with a mixture of OG New Japan talent, that's really hard to say, and New Japan Strong talent, Human Centipede themselves together to present a card that had good, bad, indifferent, and also a somewhat shocking title change in the main event that could lead to the Forbidden Door being burned down, blown up, and all kinds of things to have New Japan talent show up on AEW programming, which I'd be all for, because I want to see New Japan grow their U.S. brand and also get some of these great talents that are only mostly seen on New Japan World outside of maybe Wrestle Kingdom and a couple other events on a big, U.S. broadcast. It would just be really nice to see how this could benefit everybody. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to all be sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops, but who the fuck knows? It could lead to at least some good stuff. So anyway, full disclosure, I did pay for the Fight TV stream because I wanted to hear the English commentary. Nothing against the Japanese commentators, but I was like, okay, I am subscribed to New Japan World, but hey, it's not that much for the Fight TV stream. And unfortunately, they had to reset the signal and kind of get some things worked out or whatever. So some people were pissed off about it, but you know what? Credit to the Fight TV tech support for doing the best they could to get this thing working. And for the most part, they did. It was working, for pretty much like 90% of the show. So I will say the outdoor look was a little bit weird, but it was kind of cool to see the torch on top of the LA Memorial Coliseum. And then we got some fireworks literally during the show, which was really fucking hilarious. It kind of makes sense given the location of the venue. But anyway, we start off with Carl Fredricks versus Alex Coughlin, which I kept calling him Alex Coughlin for a while, and I apologize for that. These two, LA Dojo guys, and, they did some great stuff and Young Lion matches on, some New Japan shows in 2019. And I can tell you right now, TV does not do Carl Fredericks justice for just how tall the guy is. I mean, he was one of the seconds when I saw the Super J Cup show with my best friend, back in August of 2019. It's hard to actually believe it's been almost 2 fucking years since I saw one of Jushin Thunder Liger's last, U.S. matches. Man, it's just really, really fucking cool. But I'm so happy for his success. Alex has a great look. Carl has that size, has that ability. These two had a nice match. It was basically just Young Lion-esque, except these guys obviously have been improving dramatically. Shibata's training has really, just molded these guys and they're naturals at it. Nice pace by both. There were some good near falls, some good lariats, and eventually Fredericks did get the victory in a nice match that was a good opener. And then we have Clark Connors, Ren Narita, and unfortunately TJP is in this. So basically we have a 2-on-3 match because TJP, I don't fucking care if people, maybe aren't like the nicest outside the ring. This guy's a fucking idiot. This guy deserves to be fucking shamed for all his goddamn stupidity. He's about as bad as Austin Aries, if you know what I mean. But anyway, they took on Rocky Romero, Wheeler Yuta, and Fred Rosser, Mr. No Days Off. So by this point, they had fixed the Fight TV tech support, had fixed the stream, and we got to hear the commentary from Kevin Kelly, Alex, Tommy Wiseau, Kozlov, I'm sorry, I can't unhear it, and Matthew Raywold, the former Aiden English. I'm pretty damn certain I fucking screwed up his last name, and I apologize for that. It's cool to hear Matthew on commentary, wrestler, commentary. He can do both really well. And Alex being, somebody that teamed up with Rocky Romero and, did some New Japan work. He obviously has a lot of history with some of these guys. And Kevin Kelly, in my opinion, is the best play-by-play guy going today in wrestling. So, despite TJP being involved, this had a nice pace. Unfortunately, this isn't the last we're going to see of TJP. And it was what it was. It wasn't like the greatest match, but it was nice. And Wheeler Yuta has had some good appearances as well on AEW programming and has done well in New Japan Strong. Rocky Romero, he's fucking tremendous. Ren Narita, I am so happy to see Ren Narita out on Excursion doing some good shit here. I don't know why they do the apron bump, have no idea. And it's not that they aren't safe workers. I think the apron bumps are getting fucking overdone. And then Clark does, so basically, Clark gets a cover. Oh, wow. Clark, it's like, that's something. That's cool. Clark Connors is a very good talent as well. And it seems like we have, maybe some tension between, oh no, what's going on? Ren Narita was a little more heelish here. That was nice to see too. And then they have recaps of the G1 Supercard, which feels like 5 years ago, and it was only like 2, like just barely 2.5. And their expansion across the U.S., and I really hope that they can continue to expand across the U.S., do some great stuff. Now we get Leo Rush, Dirty Chris Dickinson, Fred Yehi, which I'm familiar with, like maybe a couple of his matches, but haven't seen a bunch of his work. Yuya Yamura, who's also out on Excursion. and Adrian Quest. They took on Filthy Tom Lawler, who I actually saw at a Defy show, and he came out to Kiss from a Rose by Seal. It was fucking hilarious. This guy is really good. J.R. Kratos from NWA and also from New Japan Strong. Danny Limelight, who I fucking love. Sky's fucking limit for Danny Limelight. Jor-El Nelson and Royce Isaacs, who I actually saw at a couple indie shows back, about 2.5 years ago. They're fucking great as well. I don't know why they bother having tags here. They should have just let everybody do everything, and they basically did. Does that mean the match was boring? No. Was it a little bit incoherent? Sure. The guys just did spots, but it was what it was. They made Kratos seem like $1 million, because he was just a big guy getting beat, knocking people around, and Quest got beat up a little bit, and then Quest has a moonsault outside. Kratos tosses Leo out there. I guess Leo's not going to retire because I was under the impression that he'd had some kind of injury right after the AEW pay-per-view, and he was going to retire soon. I mean, whatever. It's his life. Don't you forget, it's his life. It never ends, according to the song. Such is the word of Gwen Stefani. But if he's staying in New Japan Strong, he's a perfect fit there. I will say that. And what I really did like, though, is Yuya got the pin. He got the high gable grip on Danny Limelight 1, 2, 3. So that was really nice. Yuya getting the pin. Big deal. And then seems like Leo wants Tom's title that he has in New Japan Strong. The name escapes me currently since I'm a little bit rusty on a lot of my New Japan Strong watching. I've watched some of it, but I review a lot of fucking wrestling, so I apologize. And Yuya basically says, "Nice to meet you, USA." He's all fired up, and he says he wants to train at the LA Dojo, and Shibata says, "Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure paination." I know that's not how the lyrics go, but when you train with Shibata, you will be who you are truly meant to be, even if you're in a lot of pain. And butchering of, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory aside, let's go Juice Robinson versus Hickalyo. The juice is loose in LA again. Oh dear, this match. Hickalyo has size. I know he's on excursion. He is not ready for this stuff. He is not ready yet. This was awkward. It wasn't the worst thing I've seen, but it was definitely a downgrade. Juice did everything he could. Let's hear it for the Juice, because he won with a roll-up after countering, the Tongan, driller, and that was it. And then Hickalyo blindsides him afterwards, so we can no longer hear it for the Juice. The Juice is no longer loose. He got captured. So enough bad jokes aside. Special announcement. They're going to be touring the U.S. more, Dallas-Fort Worth in September. Philly, I believe, at the ECW Arena, which I'm amazed that dump is still around. And Riverside, California in November. They're also going to have Battle in the Valley, Silicon Valley, that is, in San Jose on November 13th. Looks like they might have a few of the OG New Japan talents. I figured I didn't sound white enough saying it in the intro, so I might as well say it again. So, all right. And now we get to something that had elements of good and also had Moose. Tomohiroishi versus Moose. Moose looks a lot different since he shaved and everything, and Moose hit a few good moves here. I will say that. Moose is also one of the most boring wrestlers I have seen in quite a while. I don't get the appeal of him. You do, that's fine. I did like how he did hit that springboard crossbody. That was impressive. But for a while, it was just chops, 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 and more chops. Then a powerbomb for 2. We get some 1 counts. We get this stuff and everything. This went a little bit longer. They did, do a callback to the fact that their first match went like 8-something minutes, and this one took twice as long. Like, Moose is improving. No, Ishii just gave him a lot, and probably a lot more than he needed to. Vertical drop Brainbuster, 1, 2, 3. It wasn't the worst match, but again, as I actually wrote in the beginning of this, Ishii can only do so much. I just don't get it with Moose. So anyway, Will Osprey shows up. Gee, apparently, I guess, that whole thing about him having a bad neck injury, or whatever it was either blown out of proportion, or maybe they just did this as a storyline. I have no goddamn idea. But he shows up, and he's medically clear, but he will not be in the G1. Why will he not be in the G1? Because he wants a shot at Shingo, because Jon Moxley didn't defend the IWGP US Championship for over a year, or, about a year or whatever it was, and he got to keep it, but he's out for a little bit, and he gets his title relinquished. or he, gets his title taken away from him. Okay, fair. But he then has the real world championship. Oh, great, just what we need. Let's go back to Scott Hall and Shawn Michaels when it was the Intercontinental Championship and Shawn Michaels' real Intercontinental Championship. Let's go to the John Cena, CM Punk thing with the WWE Championships, or, I don't know. There's a bunch of examples. I mean, hell, they did this in WCW with the NWA, or WCW and the International Heavyweight Championship and stuff like that. And look, this could work if Will Osprey was halfway decent at promos, fine. But I understood what they were trying to do here. I'm sorry, I don't think this is going to work. I'm not really buying into this. I mean, if it boosts New Japan, the U.S. Brand of New Japan, if it boosts them a little bit as far as ticket sales and interest, fine. I've kind of, cared less and less about Will because it's gotten to the point. Now, he's put on some good matches this year and even did put on some good ones last year. And he had, one of my favorite matches I saw live when he faced Amazing Red about this time 2 years ago at the Super J Cup show. But it just, I think he's trying too hard to be a heel. He's honestly not very likable with how he presents himself outside the ring sometimes. But I just didn't really care. He says that his home will be in New Japan Strong. Okay, fine, woohoo. I won't see him because I'm probably not going to review it all that much. But he knocks the LA Dojo, wrestlers, and then Carl Fredericks and Clark Connors, and then TJP show up. Okay, so they're teasing TJP versus Will Osprey. Loser must get vaccinated and admit that they're, and stop being a piece of shit. And admit that they've been a piece of shit in the past. And then it'll be a double count out, so neither has to get vaccinated or admit that they are, pieces of shit. By the way, get vaccinated. Or be an idiot. I don't fucking care. Diseases got eradicated thanks to vaccines, not by being science-denying twats. Off my soapbox. Nobody wants to see a TJP versus Will Osprey, and if you think you do, that's your opinion. I don't understand it, but it's fine. Anyway, we dealt with this. He did mention Daniel Bryan and Samoa Joe, because, why in the world wouldn't you want to mention a guy who's back in NXT and then a guy who could possibly show up and, hate to say it, out-wrestle the fuck out of Will Osprey. As great as Osprey is, Daniel Bryan, even at this stage of his career, could do that. Oh, look, it's the Good Brothers, home of the Good Brothers. May we take your order? Taking on Jon Moxley and Yuji Nagata, who got a pretty big pop. I'm sad it wasn't Shota Umino, but apparently travel restrictions prevented him from being able to do that. That's a shame. Would have been a nice reunion. Nagata moving very well, but suddenly we get fireworks. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst and move across the sky, and however the rest of the lyrics go. And Moxley starts just tossing chairs at everybody, including the fans. Lawsuit right now, he just tossed it to Good Brothers. Again, home of the Good Brothers, maybe take your order. Magic Killer on the chair, and then Magic Killer on Nagata, 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. I don't care when Gallows and Anderson are out there. I don't care because it's the elite thing, and that's all I gotta say about that. That's not the only time I'm gonna say that because I don't really fucking care. The Good Brothers should have not been allowed to ever cut a promo because they're not funny and they're not interesting. And then the mics get cut off, or the mics are just having issues. I don't know. Gorillas of Destiny show up to cheers, and they have a face-to-face, and the Good Brothers leave. And the crowd then pops decently. Well, they pop somewhat for David Finlay, and then Jay White, never won weight championship, and I haven't been shy about it. I don't find Jay White very interesting. It's not that Jay White can't wrestle. I recognize he can wrestle, and I'm not saying that he's bad. I just find him boring. I want to fall asleep whenever Jay White wrestles, because there's methadactyl, and then there's, being to the point where it's glacial. It's not psychology. Sometimes it's psychology. Other times it's like, okay, it's like that match that you had with Kota Ibushi at Wrestle Kingdom. You could accomplish the same goddamn thing and cut almost 20 minutes off of that. You need to make it 48 pissing minutes, and I pretty much hated that match, even though there were good elements. Now, I'm shocked that this didn't go with a bunch of stalling or whatever, but since Gato wasn't out there, they didn't feel the need to do the same bullshit. These guys have had a history and everything, and the match wasn't bad. The chops were laid in. They went outside in and outside again. We get a dive by Finlay. Then this kept going. I think this was the longest match of the show. We did get a nice superplex by Finlay that almost looked like it shook the boards. Later, he gets an STF on Oh, and then we get a ref bump, and Jay White hits a low blow, and then David hits a low blow, and oh no. And we go, prima noche, we're going for all this stuff, and then Blade Runner 1, 2, 3. Okay, thanks for coming, David. There was no doubt that Jay White was going to retain. And then Tomohiroishi shows up to challenge Jay White. I've already beaten you, he says. Yeah, and Ishii beat you before, too, so why don't you guys have a match, and why don't we get the Never Openweight Championship on somebody interesting? In case you can't tell, I'm not a fan of Jay White. So then we have Tanahashi versus Archer, U.S. Championship match. Archer had just beaten Jon Moxley recently, like about a month ago, in on AEW programming. Archer had the power edge. Scary how Archer's a couple years older than Tanahashi and moves way better. I love Tana, but I'm worried he's not going to be moving that much better. He's not going to be moving that well, rather, in another 3 years if he doesn't really slow down and possibly retire by Wrestle Kingdom. Not this coming Wrestle Kingdom, but 2023, so that'd be Wrestle Kingdom 17, I believe. I love Tana, but I don't think that he has that much left, and I think he knows that. Moxley was sitting in the crowd. What the hell is he doing drinking in LA in the city? And my God, that's an old reference, a weird, obscure song reference. Archer, it's a rolling senton off the apron. The crowd was split. Archer kept pounding Tana down and then scares the ring announcer. That was funny. Come on, hit me. And then he knocks him down and everything. And then he scares the ref. He does get hit with the dragon screw, but he hits a choke slam on the apron. It looks like, oh no, Archer's going to win. Moonsault for 2, blackout, foot on the rope. And then he starts coming back. Tana does. And then hits a twist and shout. And then we get a chair in the corner, and then Archer staring up at the spotlights after hitting it. And then Archer gets rolled up for 2. Aces high, high fly flow times 2. The second one finishes off Archer. 1, 2, 3. New U.S. champion. Moxley is pissed because apparently he's out of beer. He should have bought a 12-pack instead of a 6-pack. And then Archer calls Tanahashi the ace, which he is, and says, hey, the next time we face off, why don't we face off in an AEW ring? You knock down that forbidden door. Face me. I want to have a rematch. And Tana, says a really gracious promo, how he will be back. And it's great to see that Tana, is able to, be part of this U.S. expansion. That's great. I can't say the show was necessarily the worst thing, but it was what it was. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.